Welcome back, Vicarious viewers. My name is Vicente, and today I'm reacting to Season 2, Episode 6 of Mindhunter. Finally getting back into filming some more of these episodes. The last 4 episodes I filmed in one fell swoop like a month and a half ago and just been editing those ever since. So I'm eager to jump back into the show and find out what's been happening. Happy spooky season, October, and Halloween to everyone out there. Last we saw on the show, the very last thing that happened that I remembered was Bill actually finally letting Wendy know that he had been dealing with this drama with his wife and their adopted son. Who, I don't know, maybe I was mistaken. I don't know if it was implied or if I was just getting the wrong impression, but I thought their son was possibly like autistic, like had some kind of antisocial dissociative disorder or something like that. He just didn't seem to be like, but maybe he was just shy, maybe he was just like distant from Bill himself, or maybe he's just undiagnosed at this time. But if I was mistaken, that's my bad. Um, but yeah, he is dealing with all of that at home, which is extremely stressful, and it is definitely bleeding into his work. Especially when they were interviewing Charles Manson, and he was talking about, I didn't make your children this way, and all of this relation on like, your children do what they want to do. I just kind of gave them a reason. And Bill was not having any of that. He was extremely perturbed at the idea and was extremely combative. It's definitely not the way he should be conducting himself when he's interviewing these people in prison. He should keep it completely objective, but he's having a really hard time doing that. And part of that is because he is not relying on any kind of support system except for his wife, who herself is kind of breaking down at this point. She doesn't want to believe that their kid is capable of the things that he's being accused of, that he would participate in the murder of a toddler. But like I said before, little boys will go to crazy extremes to fit in, especially if they're having trouble doing so otherwise. So I am glad that he finally opened up to Wendy and let her know what's going on, why he's been absent, and what he's been dealing with. And hopefully that can begin to help him cope and regain the right mental headspace for doing his job properly. Now, Wendy herself, it was so cringy and uncomfortable to watch her have to be like metaphorically pawed at by that one guy who was apparently the purse strings to a lot of their operation. But he was just so forward and she was not having it, and he just couldn't take a hint at all. Poor Wendy, and I really hope that her rejection of him doesn't like cause any negative repercussions for their department. Because a different time, and I can see him being some kind of asshole that gets offended that a woman doesn't want him, and all of a sudden he's gonna like tighten the purse strings. So that could be a potential frustration. I hope it's not, but it could be. I mean, why include it if it's not gonna be? uh, Then there's Bill, who still does not know how to work on his social game. He was boring the pants off of all of those other people in the room. Thankfully, Tench came and like saved him eventually again, and Wendy was able to dip out. But that's where that episode ended. It was a really interesting conversation with Charles Manson and hearing that viewpoint on how he was basically taking other philosophies, working them into his own, and other people latched onto that and injected their own motives and their own ideas and ran away with it. And things like that tend to snowball. It can result in those things running away from you and things happening that you would have never expected. But yeah, we got 4 episodes to go. I was surprised to see that there's only 9 episodes in this season, so 4 to go. A lot of spinning plates that need to be resolved, so let's see what can happen. Let's also see if I can binge a few of these tonight, because my bills didn't exactly line up in a most convenient way this week, so my Netflix is actually going to expire in the morning or midnight or whenever they try to charge my account, and I won't be able to actually like pay for it for another 3 days when I get paid again. So I wanted to get at least a few of them filmed so I would have some to work on to get them out to you guys as quickly as possible. It's not going to be that long, only a few days, but and it usually takes me that long to edit anyway. And I still wanted to release some What If as well. Speaking of paying for my Netflix, if you do want to support my channel and my ability to bring you this content, go ahead and hop on over to my Patreon, where for $5 you can see my full-length reactions to Season 2 of Mindhunter and a bunch of other content. If you are already one of my patrons, you can find my full-length reaction to Halloween Kills available there right now. I should have the edited version ready for YouTube, possibly the weekend of Halloween, probably like the day or two before Halloween. But if you want to see it sooner, it's on my Patreon. If you do want to sign up for Patreon, I will let you know that Patreon does charge at the beginning of every month on the 1st. If you want to get your full money's worth, you can of course wait until the 1st, so you get like a full month to binge through all of my content there. But of course, if there's only a few things you want to watch on my Patreon, of course you can sign up for the $5, watch what you want, but just make sure to cancel before the 1st so you don't get charged again. But thank you for all of your support. So let's go ahead and get into Mindhunter, Episode 6, Season 2. Let's also see if we get any more of BTK. Here he is, this dude.
This one's been acting up all day. Poetry, huh?
You really need to put an out-of-order sign on it. I need the other half. That's my property. I'm not leaving without it.
Oh, is that something that he doesn't want anyone else to see? What's he taking it out in public for anyway? Be smart. I want to have a glass of wine while watching these, but then I realized I hadn't had any dinner, but I didn't want to waste any more time and actually get these filmed before my Netflix account expires. So I ate cereal. Quick and easy. Cereal and wine. How classy.
Isn't someone who practices S&M already equating arousal with violence?
The correct terminology is SM, sadomasochism, not sado and masochism.
There's also humiliation, fear, sometimes even tickling.
Tickled to death. Whole new meaning.
I never understood tickling. I hate to be tickled.
Fundamental to
That's Atlanta.
Decision made by the Department of Justice to open an FBI investigation.
Okay, now they want them back.
Closing I'd like you there as soon as possible. Bill, you can fly out Monday, right after the director's retreat.
Play nice.
Play smart.
Smart indeed. But see, then he sends Holden up ahead of Bill, which I think is stupid.
You're gonna leave Holden alone 3 days a week?
Gunn wants me at the director's retreat.
To make a speech, which is stupid.
It's 3 days.
What can go wrong in 3 days? A lot can go wrong in 3 days.
I'll stay all weekend, every week.
I said, okay. You say there's nothing you can do, so the decision's been made.
I have a feeling he's going to start to lose her.
Now I'm sober, work out every day.
What do I know him from?
Actually, I'd appreciate a little more discipline.
I'm sure you would.
Love is violence, sex is violence.
Is it?
Every interaction is violence, it's just a matter of scale. That's how they knew it was me when they called that reporter. I told them the couch and rug were covered in Crisco. The police hadn't figured out what it was. You can only go for so long.
He likes that he's making the other guy uncomfortable.
Was the anvil a place that you had found a real connection before?
No.
Into nothing, or into connection, or perhaps into deeper violence? Seeing how it felt to go too far.
We can't be seen as eating our own.
Do you think it was an angry straight guy?
We can't be seen as eating our own. That can be applied to Atlanta, too.
Clubbers are looking for guys who know what they're doing.
So the killer would be experienced.
He's looking for the guy that just wants it.
Nobody wants to die.
No, but someone to feel what it's like to almost die.
To be taken to the brink.
Alan, I'm ready.
He was having more fun making Greg uncomfortable. He couldn't scare Wendy. He may not have been the one that killed those other men. He may just be someone who likes to toy with fear itself. Makes him feel powerful when he sees other people squirm.
Got 250 searchers working grids, canine units.
There is no body. He's not your man.
Excuse me? Sounds like a grand theory, Agent Ford, like you put a lot of thought into it in the 2 minutes we've been standing here.
He didn't rein him in, and he didn't disagree with him either.
Have you noticed changes in his behavior?
Wetting the bed.
Brian has started wetting his bed again.
Is trauma really what's causing him to wet the bed? He's reminded every day that he's not normal. Kids get over stuff. They forget.
Mrs. Tench, no one simply forgets.
And he started wetting the bed before any of these visitations began, so...
Brian? Brian?
Oh shit, side gate's open.
Brian? Did you hear me calling you? Look at me.
All sectors suspend. Y'all start coming on in. No body. Is that what you wanted to hear?
No, sir, it's not.
Here comes the flood of press. Did they all get there at the same time?
The FBI called for the search?
Don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut, Holden. Zip it.
I dealt with my share of criminals from the bench. Most of them were bad from the start, even as kids.
That's not what he wants to hear.
You can just see it in their eyes.
That's not someone that he can just snap back at. Probably still not the best thing he could have heard at the moment.
Tell me about what you're reading.
It's the Bateson interview. He was surprisingly forthcoming in the beginning, but when I got to the questions I really wanted to ask, he just walked out.
It's because you were asking them. You could tell that Bateman's eyes kept drifting to Greg. He liked his discomfort, and he wanted to engage with him more and more. He wanted to get a reaction out of him, but when Wendy was the one pushing all the questions, I think that's when he started to get bored with it all. A little worse for the wear. I mean, he has a legitimate excuse. I needed to drink with the guys for a work thing. I don't know if she exactly sees it that way, though.
What he's saying, rule anybody out, but let's focus on manpower.
Chief, this kind of focus means recanvassing 18 abduction and dump sites, plus re-interviewing dozens of witnesses.
I'm redeploying today's search to a previous dump site.
Maybe they'll find someone dumped at one of the previous locations.
Anything else I told the officers before could be helpful.
Weren't no officers come here. Ain't nobody ask us nothing.
That's the third person we talked to within 1 block of where this kid disappeared, and not one of them was interviewed.
We called and told him Earl came by the day he went missing, but nobody came asking.
To the ME heading out to Red Line Road. They found something.
Okay, so recanvassing the old areas is actually going to be fruitful because it looks like no one bothered to do it the first time.
He's returning to a scene. What's the press doing here?
Get down there and set up a perimeter. This is now a crime scene. Found these close to the road. A tin shoe, 1 cigarette butt, and a couple of porno mags.
Porno?
Could be a pedophile. He was trying to get the kid excited, entice him.
It's one guy, and this is his graveyard.
Shit. One morbid fucking jackpot.
Sound like our man?
Wait a minute, this guy's Caucasian. Those magazines are adult women, not black children. He's not who we're looking for.
We need to get warrants.
Jim, you're familiar with D.A. Slayton, are you not? He ain't by the book. He is the book.
Oh, great. That sounds like all kinds of trouble. Because when someone is the book, that means they don't play by anyone else's rules. And that can go very unpredictably.
We need to speak with District Attorney Slayton. If you could point him out to us.
I'm sorry, we're a private institution.
FBI, bitch.
Special Agents Tench, Ford, and Barney.
Excuse me a moment.
It's going to be a hard sell.
Hell, I'd take advantage of the food, too. That shit looks expensive.
Since you gentlemen thought it necessary to pull me out of my
Make myself a doggy bag.
Which took 3 months to plan, you'd have a more compelling argument. I've never issued warrants based on radical psychological theories.
We've got no leads and the clock is ticking.
I'll grant your warrants, but I want no press. None.
Did the video freeze for a second? Because he said something, but his lips didn't move. That was weird. Didn't look like it froze, though. Nothing was buffering. And y'all are going to cause a media firestorm around this one guy who's probably not the killer.
Where are we with him? Commissioner?
What would be the irony if it's the commissioner? public figure people would trust. Kids would be comfortable around because all their mamas and grandmamas are talking him up.
Hold it. Right now, we better put together a statement because looks like they got hold of it.
Shit. I'll let them know it's an ongoing investigation.
I don't think so.
This mofo is about to go out there and be like, we found the guy. We have him in custody, and now it's about pinning him to the crime. Okay. Better than I thought. Whoa. Okay, that episode felt faster than normal. How long was that? Oh shit, that was 56 minutes? That flew by. Okay, so that was episode 6 of season 2. Felt like it went by very quickly. There wasn't too much development-wise in too many of the cases, other than them finding all of those bodies. Let's see. Thankfully, it didn't seem that Holden was alone long enough to dig himself into a hole too much with everyone else. I mean, he did kind of rub the police chief the wrong way at first, like telling him what they needed to do, and the guy was all like, why would we do that? And but Bill came in pretty quickly. They were able to redirect their investigation to the previous drop sites, where now they are finding more victims. So at least now they can give some closure on where some of the boys that have disappeared have gone, and finally verify that they have been indeed killed. But are we any closer to catching the killer? That remains to be seen. When he said that they found the seminal fluid, was that with the dirty mags that they found in the area? Because if that was the case, maybe this was just like a smoke and hang spot nearby that this guy had, maybe like just to get away from the wife, get out, go to the woods, release some steam, have a few drinks, and go home. It doesn't necessarily mean that he was aware of like all the bodies in the surrounding area. It could have just been another spot he went to. That can be a fairly common thing. People just going to the outskirts of town. That happens here around my city. Like, our city is surrounded by desert, so there's tons of different like hangout spots, bonfire spots that tons of people go to at all times of day. Like, guys go out there during the day to go drinking and shooting. People go out there to go four-wheeling. I've gone to many like bonfires at night with tons of friends, and even when we've gone to like different bonfire spots, there can be entirely different groups at different regular bonfire spots and be like, oh, there's other people there. How do they look? Maybe we'll join them, or maybe we'll just go to a different spot. And of course, there can be evidence and debris and trash from any number of people that are just living their lives day to day, going out and getting away from the rest of the city. So I think Holden is correct in assuming that this is probably not the guy. He doesn't fit their profile. His seminal fluid was found on adult magazines that had adult white women. Before I knew what the porno mags were of, I was thinking, well, maybe if it was a pedophile, maybe he was trying to use it to entice the kids. Like, ooh, is this exciting for you? Try to get them worked up. So he could do his dirty thing. But, yeah, with adult white women, it seems less likely. Like, I think he would have been more inclined to find porno magazines with African American women to try to entice the African American boys. Or maybe not. I don't know. That's a tricky subject. It also seems that Tench's wife is having a hard time dealing with what's going on. And I think she doesn't see Bill as trying hard enough to be there for them. Like, even though it's literally his job on the line. Like, he's been trying to be there as much as possible, but like, things are starting to roll. He needs to be out of town. Like, if word's coming up from the top and the vice president is ordering them to do something, it's not like he can just drop the ball and be like, I need some personal time at home. That just wouldn't fly, and they'd be like, well, maybe we need a different agent on this case and in this department, and I doubt he wants that. But there is that line. It's like, what is more important to you? Is your job more important, or is your family more important? Of course, a good job can be necessary to provide for that family. Like, if he loses this job and isn't able to perform it, like, would he be able to help pay the bills? Even if he's there, like, would he be stressing about money instead? Work-life balance. It's never an easy juggling act. It was also an interesting but brief conversation that Wendy and Greg had with that Bateman guy. He seemed more interested in speaking with Greg, making him uncomfortable, trying to get a reaction out of him, try to play his emotional manipulation, be the top in the conversation, and make Greg quiver in discomfort and fear. Quite a power play he was performing. But then, of course, Wendy started dominating the conversation, asking the serious questions, and he would answer her questions, but his eyes would keep drifting to Greg, like seeing what he's doing, how he's reacting. And I think her confidence and her demeanor towards Bateman then made Greg feel more comfortable, and he didn't seem to squirm as much. And I think at that point, the game just wasn't as fun to Bateman, so he ended the conversation. He's like, oh, this isn't fun anymore. He wanted to make Greg squirm. But he did say something interesting about making people happy. Queens never want to see us as eating our own, which can be very true. Like, when you are part of a community, either defined by race, religion, sexuality, when you're a tight-knit group, or at least there's the perception of being a tight-knit group, and you're all there for each other and you have each other's backs, it can be difficult to accept that one of the people that you accept in your community is the one that's hurting you. So in his case, he's part of the gay community, but also part of the SM community, and both of those communities can be extremely tight-knit, and there's like a huge circle of trust, because of course they feel that anyone outside that community is someone that could potentially hurt them, and for the gay community that can be very true. This also reflects to the African American community. They're very tight woven, and they have a sense of trust within themselves. Like, why would we hurt each other when there's so many racist white men out there trying to hurt us as well? And they want to believe that the person doing any harm to their community would be the people that are the usual suspects, the racist white guys, the KKK. And it can be hard to accept. What if it's one of us? What if we have a bad apple in our midst? And that is the real problem. They don't want to see it. They'll resist it, and sometimes they'll fight it. I see it in the gay community. I can see it kind of playing out here in Atlanta with their case. Whenever Holden tries to steer them towards like an African American subject, like they're like, no, we got a white guy. Let's check out this white guy here. And I don't think it's going to take any hunches or evaluations or profiling to get them to turn around on this. They're going to have to find solid evidence that points towards an African American suspect. If it is an African American, it could be throwing us for an entire loop, and it'll even surprise Holden that maybe it is a white guy or a Hispanic guy. But I'm interested to see where that goes. And last but not least, we just get the BTK guy. He's just making copies from a public copier, which apparently he doesn't want anyone else to see, but he's making copies in a public place, which isn't the smartest thing, but that was literally, 2 minutes at the beginning of the episode? Like, where are we going with this? give us more. You've been teasing us with this guy for 2.5 seasons now, and we don't have much to show for it. But that is episode 6. What did you guys think of this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, hit like and subscribe, ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single one, and thanks for stopping in for this Vicarious View.